Okay, hello, can you hear me? I just had to change the region because it wasn't
Okay.
uh, connecting. I'm not sure if it was working for you, but I saw that it was constantly connecting for me. Uh, let's wait a few more minutes and we'll start. Probably going to be a short one. Okay, I think we'll start. Um, so, going to be a short meeting then, I think. Uh,
You're breaking up a bit, Kai.
okay. Uh, okay. This should be better.
Yep.
I hope. Okay. I stream on Twitch, I stream on Discord, so whatever you prefer, you can watch. On Twitch, just so it's recorded. Okay. What did we do in this sprint? This sprint, also known as Sprint 0, we just did some infrastructural stuff. From absolute zero, we created a repository. We started to define the problem that we're solving, create a document for requirements, and still work needs to be done in README. Um, there needs to be a beginner's guide made, and there also needs to be more guides, and you'll see what kind of guides are left out. Anyways, repository pretty much empty, and we have a whole bunch of labels created to indicate different kinds of things that we're working on. If we're writing just tests, then it's testing. If we have some dirty code, then it's tech debt. If we need investigation, it's a spike. If we are to gather requirements and officially put them somewhere, it's specification. If we need to double check something, it's refine. And then we have high priority, which needs to be done fast, soon. Guide, which is basically what I'm doing, just guiding people how to work with stuff and defining our standards. Front end for front end, back end for back end. Feature, which is new functionality. Enhancement, which is some sort of improvement. Duplicate, which should be closed. Bug, which should be fixed. Blocked, something that has a dependency and you cannot do now. Backend, we said that. Automation, just infrastructure stuff. Architecture, something that I'm doing that is templates, design, planning, and so on. And then we have something more interesting. We have planned 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13 actuals. And this in Agile terms is points. So we're pointing stuff. And hello, Mortis.
Hello.
Very good. I'm streaming both on Twitch and on Discord, so you can watch whichever you want.
Okay.
Anyways, I just said we created a repository, a GitHub repository where we store the code, and I'm just showing what it contains at the moment and what other things we have, what do we have planned, and when do we expect to do what. So basically, we're working in Agile, and in Agile terms, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, and 13 are points for tasks. 1 is the easiest, 13 is the most difficult kind of task. Normally, on the board, it should ever be tasks from 1 to 5. If it's 8 or more, it needs to be split. And I put actual and planned to indicate what we thought it was and what it actually is, so that we can measure how well we estimate and base how much we are going to put in the next sprint planned to do, how much work will we put. And based on what we have so far, so now I'll go to our project. Here's our backlog where all the stories are. And the most interesting ones are the ones that involve, that are done basically. We didn't do much this sprint. I would say that the more important things that we did, we kind of figure out our architecture, our coding standards. We did manage to draw use case diagram for mobile app. So how does that look like? Our coding standards look like this. So it's just different pieces of development part that you should adhere to. If, let's say, you have a doubt how to name something, or if you have a doubt if you should do it like this or like that, then this page should serve as a guideline for you not to have doubts, and you just look at it and can make a choice accordingly. So there's that. And another one is that is in our code now. Oh, it's not in our code. Oh, yes, because everything is in dev. So in our dev branch, we have use case diagram for mobile app. And it's hideous. If we look at from there, much better. Basically, it might look intimidating, but it's not. We have, I'm not sure if we'll have a user, and I'm not sure how much of this we'll actually have, but what you see here is basically the final thing that might be. But for the first version, we definitely won't include everything. And it just defines how we imagine a drawing app. How do we imagine drawing app? We imagine that drawing app will have a gallery and info section and a drawing window. So those three basically windows. And in gallery, it's just quite trivial. Every use case is defined. If you want a description, it's defined in the document. Actors, use cases.
The second part should be that one, the MD one.
Yes. So we have go to galleries, select gallery. Right, I'm not sure if there will be galleries. So can you, how do you imagine, do you agree with this? Like you open, let's say, a gallery window, and that's, and then after you open gallery window, you then need to select another gallery that has images, if I understand correctly. Select gallery. Once user is inside gallery section, they could pick from two galleries, public gallery and promotional gallery. Are we on the same page?
Yeah, I think so. It's kind of like a gallery of, drawings and stuff from the app, and then gallery of like the actual prosthetics
Okay.
that have been done.
Okay, so that is good. Nice. And what can you do? You can share images, the standard stuff, and you can filter based on whatever requirement there is. Probably if we figure out our filters, each of that filter would be its own use case, so that's fine. So that is the gallery. Probably there should be also a use case to view image, view art, so that you, I don't know, tap on the artwork here, and it appears, gets zoomed in. That part I think is missing. So
Yeah, I don't know how I forget about that. Sorry.
yeah, it's fine. I don't know how I forgot to mention it anyways. Okay, next is what a user can do. So this is a guest. Anyone can just go to gallery, select public or private, share images, filter images, view artwork. Now, if you are, let's say, using your Google account, you can also like images, and it's Google account is needed because there is probably no other way of, preventing for random likes. Just if anyone can like, then just click and it gets increments. So if you click, let's say 100 times, it would have 100 likes. We don't want the same person liking twice, so it needs an account. So if we have a user, then he can like images as well if he uses the account. Probably save his own drawings too if he's a user. Now contacts form. Contacts window would have info page, which again has, I'm not sure if you want to make an application to become an artist. Oh, okay. So basically it would have just the sections for contacts and how to become an artist for the Painted Prosthetics project. And basically all the work would happen not in the app, but it would redirect you to the website. So you have an info page. It's literally just links. It doesn't do anything. It points you to the website where you actually do the stuff. Okay. Next we have the actual drawing part. So you select the canvas. Now the details on canvas selection. For new session, the drawing screen would force the user to select a canvas. Canvas selection could be pop-up and would allow the creation of blank new canvas or the selection of one that's already been worked on. You could then mention that there is a save canvas somewhere, because I don't think there is, right?
There's one, I think.
Save to device locally. Okay. Users and guests could share their artwork to public gallery with admin approval. Right. Would that mean this share functionality, would it mean that from an app you can have, I don't know, a quick way of applying to be an artist? Or because I imagine that art, I guess so, right? For the public one, for the non-professional one, I mean.
Yeah, I think what I try to do there is that when you hit that share or save button, essentially you just try to share the image or the artwork to the public gallery. So it gets into a queue or something like that, and from the website that can be accepted. And I think that art should only go to the promotional gallery from the website directly, and again
Yeah.
with the admin approval. So that's why it's not detailed as much in there. It's mainly about the public gallery, I would say.
Okay. Are we on the same page? Okay. I'll raise your volume a bit. Okay. So we select the canvas, either blank or existing, and then we draw. And when we draw, we use a variety of options and tools. First one would be the obvious. You can undo, redo, share to device, select canvas. And other would be for selecting color and brush. Eraser. What does it mean, change eraser behavior?
I imagine it like in Paint or in Photoshop, you could change the size of the eraser that you have.
Okay, that's what you mean. Okay. Fine. Select color palette. Select color and color palette. So basically your own custom colors. Probably okay, but that's very nice to have, but probably very optional. Okay, that is fine. So these are the features, basically standard stuff. To sum it up, you select a canvas, either new or existing one, or from a selection that is pre-made, and then you can just draw on it with any brush, any color. Obviously, you can erase, you can undo, redo, and you can share your drawing. And that's about it. Is anything in particular missing from this app?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Could you try to fix your mic a bit? It's very far away.
So, yeah, I'm on like wireless headphones.
It's okay. Much better.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the app. And next one, which we don't have use case diagram for yet, is a website. What we can do from the website, which is more interesting because it's not so straightforward, I guess. Oh, also one quick thing. Wireframe, the basically how would it look visually, the drawing app?
I picture kind of like the main kind of canvas with the kind of um, outline of leg, and I can do that real easily. And then kind of on the right hand side, like the different like toolbar with the brushes and stuff, or
Yeah,
even
so
at the bottom.
I'm sharing for right now what we have for the sketches, how it would look like.
Okay.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's this? When you're viewing art, so when you click on an image in the gallery, it would appear like this.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks good. Yeah.
Okay. Next, drawing window itself. A flat layout of the prosthetic for easy drawing. Like you said, on the right side, the selection of tools and menu bar, which is fixed and remains the same no matter where you are. Okay. Fan art submission to the public gallery, basically. Would you say this is enough for the art?
Yeah.
Would you need... Yeah, okay. Artist name and email, I guess, will be based on the account. Would you say that email is needed for filling this? And would you say that anyone can submit this, or only someone who is registered with Google account, let's say?
Yeah. I mean, maybe have it where anyone registered with like a Google account, just for, a little extra, like you said, to keep someone from just kind of hitting like, you know,
Right,
many times.
right, okay. But for this specifically, could you spam art? Probably you could as well. It's the same issue. Okay. Now gallery selection would look like this. You click gallery, you can select one from two galleries.
Cool.
And the info sections, which would just direct you to the website, basically. Very general info, something simple that would attract attention, and links. Okay. Maybe a single button is needed because I don't know. It would say, like, I imagine a single button would be needed, maybe. Take me to the website, link to the website, link to contact web page. That is one and the same thing, basically the same website.
Yeah.
Okay. Login and guest. Yeah, I agree. Okay, does this look good?
Yeah.
Okay. And scroll bar for professional and fan art gallery.
Cool.
That's also very cool. Yep. Okay. So this is the app. For website, we have slightly less things. Do you have any questions or anything to add about the app?
No, not so far. It looks, from the kind of mock-up and everything and layout, it looks good.
Okay. Right. moving on to the website. What can a website do? Wrong place. Maybe this is okay. We'll see. So what can we do in a website? We basically have 4 actors, and an actor is basically some either person or a system that can do something in the system. And we have 4 actors as opposed to 2 actors in the website. And obviously a visitor can do a bunch of things, an artist can do a bunch of things, and an administrator can do a bunch of things. Though an artist is just a visitor, so it doesn't really matter, probably. And also system about all the requests. Anyways, from maybe from the visitor point of view, as we said, a visitor should be able to request a prosthetic. And when he requests a prosthetic, he needs to fill a form. I am not sure what data is needed, but that is details. And if I understand correctly, he should be also able to attach or basically say if he wants a prosthetic with a touch of art or a blank prosthetic.
Yeah, I mean, with the blank prosthetics and stuff, that would all be the prosthesis that deals with that. You know, we're just kind of focusing on kind of doing the artwork and stuff on one. So we wouldn't be kind of the ones providing like just regular prosthetics.
So it's only a prosthetic, always painted one.
Yeah, yeah. So we would be working with the different prosthetic companies kind of to do the kind of, to paint the socket of the prosthetic.
She would just request the paint.
Yeah. Yeah, so request the artwork because we wouldn't be handling kind of cost of
Okay.
a kind of whole prosthetic.
So if you apply for this, it's a given that you already have, a prosthetic, blank one, or like in the making maybe, and you want art on top of it.
Yeah, yeah. So it would
Okay.
be so we would kind of someone who's interested, we would then contact either their prosthetic, their the company they use, or kind of one in their area to see if they would be willing to kind of donate a socket for that person, that we would then kind of paint
Right.
and everything and then send it back to them.
Right. Okay, let me add a comment. Okay. Next. So only so basically request artwork on prosthetic would be how it sounds like.
Yeah, or request a painted prosthetic, to keep
Yep.
up with the kind of title.
Okay. Okay. Would this then mean so they request you and you get the request? If what's your next step? Like, will you personally contact a company and ask if they have a spare socket or if they are willing to donate a socket?
Yeah, so depending on, the request will read through the person's bio and everything, and then, um, we would see if there would be a local kind of company that would be willing to kind of, um, work with us and kind of make an extra socket, that we can then paint, and then once done, put it on the person's prosthetic leg, so then they can have their kind of painted prosthetic.
Right.
Yeah, so we would be the ones kind of contacting and trying to find, people willing to donate their time.
Okay. Next is make a donation. So do you agree that you should be able to make a donation through a website in one of three ways, which is either donating a prosthetic, some amount of money, and just we put this as an advertisement, but it's probably more like I don't know, just contacting, like getting in contact with a company that is willing to contribute in some way.
Yeah, yeah, or have it where like if there's a company that's willing to donate, you know, on a kind of company level, in terms of instead of just individual level.
Right. Uh, okay, that's fair enough. Um, Fill in the name, blah blah, not important. View public gallery, the same stuff. Public gallery. There is so in this one there would also be the gallery from the mobile, right? From the mobile app.
Yeah, like a separate gallery, just that where the main focus should be on the kind of gallery of the actual legs, but
Mm-hmm.
but then have like a kind of little part, for the app
Right,
kind of gallery.
right. Okay. Sorted images. Click on image, see images. That's fine. Like image, view artwork. That's fine. Not important. So artists can basically people can apply to be artists. How do you imagine what should they be able to be registered users in order to send an application, or should they be able to edit their application?
Yeah, yeah, that's something that they could do. If they kind of get like a kind of gallery show where think their status and stuff changes.
So do you imagine there should be a page dedicated for um well, okay, account, and then they see their application and whatnot, and the same thing for liking and whatnot. Okay, so it should be modifiable, their application.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you as admin, or should there be more admins than just you, or just you?
I mean, right now just me, but in the future, when more people kind of get involved in running it, have the ability to add.
All right. So what should you be able to do? Um, I imagine all you want is to see amputee requests and nothing more about it. Just see the requests that people made for artwork, and you will not use the website to handle those requests, you will manually check them out and delegate their request to basically some company.
Yeah.
Okay. And of course, you can approve and disapprove artists, right? Their submission.
Yeah.
Okay.
And would there be a way to like that the admin would be able to kind of add to the gallery, in case like, we get photos sent by like the amputee of their finished leg. Would there be a function so the admin could add those to the gallery?
In here there is not, but I agree that it's useful. So add images to the gallery by admin, and of course remove. Next, so I imagine that if you approve an artist, their images, pictures, the artwork that they sent would immediately appear on the gallery.
Yeah, kind of on their own, like not in the, because very often like the artists, when they apply, the photos that they would be submitting would be of their kind of actual artwork and not like a prosthetic that they do. And so that would kind of go into a little like kind of on their kind of little about page, because the public gallery would just be kind of for like prosthetic legs.
Right. Sorry, could you repeat that? To the public page?
Yeah, so the like the when the artists kind of submit and apply, the art that they would be submitting would just be of their regular paintings. And so like the public gallery should just be kind of pictures of the actual prosthetics, and then you know when the about of the artist who does the prosthetics, they'll have like a few pictures of their kind of regular artwork, but not have like their submitted pictures automatically go into the public gallery, if that makes any sense.
Uh, so when you are applying to be a part of the project, aren't you supposed to send a picture, at least one picture of a prosthetic that you painted on?
No, because
No.
we kind of from the artists, we choose an artist, to then paint on a prosthetic.
Right.
So because it's having a requirement that they kind of have already painted on a prosthetic makes it super hard, because it's hard, not everyone knows how to kind of go about that and get access to prosthetics to do art on.
Okay. So it would end up in the fans gallery, and the fans gallery would be a mix. I'm still a bit puzzled. How do you imagine how do you imagine the process of publishing one's artwork in like mixing it with the prosthetic? You said very specific structure. Basically, you would have one big prosthetic picture and three smaller pictures around it for general artwork in the gallery.
Yeah, I was thinking, if people wanted to see like more information about the artist that did that prosthetic, there would be like a little bio about that artist, and then like a few pictures of um their artwork outside of prosthetic, of their traditional artwork.
Right. So would this mean that they can continuously send more and more artwork, or does this mean that they can only send one prosthetic picture that you request them? So basically, like I'm trying to imagine the flow. They send the request to become a part of the project, an artist, and
Yeah.
you approve the request, and the artwork they sent uh, I'm not sure where it goes.
Yeah, so once, if we approve them, then we would kind of send them one of the sockets to paint, and then once that's painted and we have pictures of it, then that'll go on the website.
Okay, okay, okay. That's good. So basically, being approved doesn't mean that your art gets anywhere yet. It just
Yeah,
means that,
you're kind
uh,
of on the list for future openings,
right.
when we have.
So it just appears in a different list, basically, or in the same list. What do you think? If you approve them, would you like to see the approved ones in, I don't know, a separate window, or just the same window but with different status?
Um, yeah, maybe in like a separate window, so people can see the artists who are approved, who are available, but then it's not mixed in with the artists who've already done one.
You said people could see, but that one would be just for you.
Yeah.
Okay.
y-
So separate window for uh mm, 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 for basically, I guess, call it the prosthetics queue. And so you send a socket to a person. Okay, so would this mean that, let's say you have one artist ever and you send him a socket and they paint on it, then they send it back to you. Um, would it mean maybe that on their end they would also see, maybe not in an email that you approve them, but maybe in the same artist's application window from their end, that okay, you approve them, and okay, you actually um, are willing to send them a socket, or that the socket was sent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. 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 So socket. So one more window to see approved artists. One more window to see for the artist their request status. To see their request status, their if they got socket sent on their way.
So should the list of approved artists be viewable by the public?
Um, they
The ones
could
without prosthetic.
yeah. Or have like a private page that I could link to for like a amputee to take a look to see which artist they like, from that list, but it not be um, a direct link on the website, but something I can kind of just send them.
Could you repeat again what you had in mind?
So like, have the have a page of approved artists, with the kind of pictures that they submitted of their kind of portfolio that I can kind of link to the an amputee that's been chosen so they can see what artists they like the best, and then so
Oh,
kind of something that I can link to specific people, but not like that's just on has a direct link on the website, if that makes sense.
doesn't have a direct link on the website. What do you have in mind? What do you mean?
So have like a not necessarily private page, but like a um, page, with all of the approved artists that I can kind of show the amputee, so they can see kind of the different artists that can do to paint their leg, but not have it where it's like a direct link on the website.
Okay, so basically when you make an application, you would like a list of artists to appear that already are confirmed and their artwork examples, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a public gallery for artists, but not linked anywhere on the website.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so I can kind of link to the amputees, and
Yeah.
then once their legs done, then that artist, after they've already done a leg, then they move to like the public gallery with showing the prosthetic they painted.
Making a donation request. Requester should see a list of artists, confirmed artists with their sample art. One more window to see approve artists. That's admin. That's guest. Well, I guess the artwork of those artists, like you would put them in. Well, you wouldn't put them until they deliver. So that artwork doesn't have to be
Yeah.
a prosthetic related, right?
Yeah, no, not prosthetic
Okay.
related.
Confirmed, but not with proven XP of prosthetic. One more window to see approved artists for administrator. So that the admin can see a queue of artists and send them a prosthetic, a socket to paint on. Would this mean that sending process well, obviously you send it manually and then
Yeah.
just mark it in the dashboard that you sent it?
Yeah, so that would just all be manual.
Okay. One more window to see, for artists to see their request status if they got sockets sent on their way, and request status should be editable. Okay. And this I already mentioned. All right. Is there anything that you would like as administrator to do other than approving artists in the way that we said, and other than viewing amputee requests for sockets?
I think that looks good. Makes sense.
All right. So for requests, I imagine we talked about this with Royaloff, and I imagine there shouldn't, like, if you already made a request, if you had the proof that, all the needed info to fill a request is amputee, I imagine that there shouldn't be an option to delete your request as amputee, because it's legit. If you manage to write it, that means it's legit.
Yeah, and as it's just submitting a request, because manually, I'll be contacting them and talking to them, and
Right,
working things out. So,
right,
if they don't need it anymore, I would have known because I would be talking to them already.
right. Let's say this explodes and becomes really big, and you have maybe a lot of requests, and some of them are super old. Would you like old ones to be deleted or
No,
not?
no, just because there could be you know extenuating circumstances, so having someone having old requests there that we can always refer back to, and yeah.
And if you didn't pay attention, would you just ignore, like, let the request be ignored if you didn't contact them for a long time, or would you still like to notify the sender that it's that you have a lot of work that you are
Yeah,
about to view, and it's like on top of your list?
yeah, so I would, when I contact them and talk to them, and if everything goes well, and they get approved, there could be um you know uh, you know there might be, could be, depending on, till we get to them, like a year or so it'd just be like, tell them that they've been approved, but we'll let them know, when,
Right,
um but so it's not like right away, they'll be getting something.
right. So the missing bits that is not here is to actually have a list of artwork that was submitted by confirmed artists when they were applying to become artists. So that's how you decide whom do you want to take artwork from.
Yeah.
Uh, oops. Next
Yeah,
one
'cause-
is
And the admin should be able to approve the fan artwork from the app, right?
yeah, just to make sure that people aren't just kind of submitting like vulgar, you know, random drawings or
Balls.
oh, okay.
yeah.
Yes. So that is also not included here. Approve or decline. Well, basically, yeah, approve or decline fan artwork.
Yeah, from the app.
From the app. Okay. Admin.
There was one more thing David and I were talking about, that the last page should be called settings instead of info or about. And then there would be a subpage with about and a page for settings, so you can log out of your account if you're a logged in user and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay. We will add that in the app. Okay. So, right, so to summarize, this part, you want anyone to be able to request a prosthetic as long as, given they are able to fill the form. And when they request a prosthetic, they select from our artists that submitted art and
Yeah,
got
that would be
approved.
yeah, that would be kind of later down the line. They wouldn't choose that like as soon as they get, as soon as they submit. As soon as they request, they wouldn't choose. That would be kind of later. Once
Oh,
we've kind of worked with a prosthetic company to get the socket done. And then we would kind of figure out what artists are available at that time, and then let them
so
kind
at
of
what
choose from.
point specifically would they be able to choose?
What was that?
At what point specifically would they choose?
When they're once we had like a socket made for them, then they would kind of choose an artist. But that's why I was saying like that kind of link that I can send them,
Ah,
and then have them kind of choose that way. Because then I
ah.
can be like, oh, okay, these 5 artists are available now. You can go to this link and look at them.
Uh, okay.
Do you want that to be managed by the website as well?
No, I mean, I figured it would just be easier to do it kind of manually.
Um, well, I imagine
So then that way,
I imagine.
I
Go on.
because if you just have it kind of like managed by the site, if some artists who were into it and now can't do it, I don't want it just to be this long list of names. Whereas if I kind of send them the link, um, when I send them, I can be like, okay, so these 6 people are available, instead of them just kind of seeing a kind of list
Right.
without any information about kind of who can or can't.
So does that mean that you would pick those, let's say, 6 people manually?
Yeah, I would kind of talk to the artist to see which ones were available, which ones were kind of interested in kind of working with this person, and then kind of let that person choose from the available artists on who they would kind of want to do their leg.
Yeah, you wanted to be a personal
Yeah,
approach.
yeah,
So
yeah. So then they can get something that reflects them, and not just some generic kind of piece of art.
so maybe in that window for approved artists, you could see a list of approved artists, and they would have a selection box next to them, so you select the artists that you want, and I guess there would be a button maybe. Uh, um, it maybe could be like a link, or maybe a link with their artwork that expires. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know much about like kind of building websites and doing the automated. That's why I was, talking about just doing it manually. Um, with just having, being able to kind of act as kind of like a matchmaker. Once we have a leg that's ready to be done, then finding out, then talking to the artist to see, who's available, and then having the MPT kind of choose the artist they like, and then kind of putting them kind of in touch with each other, so then they can kind of discuss the type of art and what they're wanting painted. So I was thinking of that as kind of more of a being done manually.
Okay, what about, so basically select a bunch of artists that are approved. You click button that is called download art, and you download their sample art and you forward that to the amputee.
Yeah, yeah, that would work.
How else do you imagine, like if you did it manually, present the artwork to the person?
I would have just kind of, that's why I was thinking like um having like we had talked about before, like a link that wasn't kind of on the website, but just a
Mm-hmm.
link I could send them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so a link that you send them, and then you just give the names that you look for as a recommendation, but they can pick other people as well.
If Yeah, I mean, they would pick from the artists who would be who would say that they're available.
Yes.
How,
Okay.
how about this? So we have a third gallery that's just for the artist you have selected, and you can with like a checkbox say these ones are available and these ones are not.
Okay, yeah, that would
And
work.
then the artist or then the person you send the link to could say, yeah, this artist I would like for painting my prosthetic.
Yeah,
So it's just a third gallery, and yeah, with the names and just with an extra checkbox for which ones are available and which ones are not.
yeah,
Not personalized, right? This
Yeah.
specific thing. Well, the availability would be based on, so okay, you approve the artists, and um, if you just approve them, that means they're immediately available or not.
well, it means that they're kind of generally available, because it could approve an artist, but then it might be 6 months until there's a leg available, but then they might kind of be busy preparing for solo show and not have the time at that moment, but then they could have time at another moment.
So basically, artist available equals that you like them, you got in touch with them, and they replied to you, and that is the definition of artist available. That they confirmed after you approved them that they're available.
Yeah, well, no, the artists available would be ones who have time, at that moment to work on the legs.
Right, so it would be a constantly changing thing that
Yeah,
upon basically every time before you send a sample, you would um, what would you do? Would you just go through all of the artists every time, or at like every other period of time, and then just update their availability statuses?
Yeah, so once we had a leg, I would kind of reach out to kind of all the artists and say, hey, um, who's available to kind of work on this, and then the ones that get back and say that they are, then I would kind of you know let the amputee know, oh, these artists are available, which one, do you like the style of, and then kind of once they choose, then kind of put them in touch with each other so they can kind of you know work on you know what they're wanting, on their leg together.
Okay.
So it's kind of customized.
Would it be an idea then that, let's say there is a request, and you would like to help a person, and you do have a socket, and now you're looking for an artist? Would it be an idea then to just click a button and send a notification to the artists, and wait for their feedback if they flag themselves as available or not?
Yeah, yeah, that would work.
Okay.
Yeah, that was my idea exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
yeah, that would probably be a lot easier than kind of
Just press one
contacting
button
each
and then
one. Yeah,
Yeah,
instead of
and
contacting each one directly.
yeah, and then that would mean that, let's say in 2 days, or in a fixed period of time, if they don't respond, that just means they're not available, and you don't need
Yeah,
to change anything manually. You just update their availability status, and
yeah,
next person requests, you do it again. Okay, great.
yeah.
Uh, so in the requester should see, no, they shouldn't see that. Whoops. There should be an option to send a gallery of currently available artists' artwork as reference material.
should people who have already made a painted prosthetic be on that list as well?
Yeah, because they could, if they're kind of down for doing, another, they're more than welcome to.
Should they be able to put themselves on and off that list?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
so if they kind of, have the time or availability, sure.
Well, let's say they can delete their like, it's as simple as deleting their requests in their window. In the requests window, it would still be their request, so they can just log in and delete their own request. I guess that's fair. Okay, so in that window, you should be able to notify already approved artists for available for a prosthetic paint request. This would flag them as pending. Accepted request would flag them as available, and ignored. Would you like to have a distinction between declined and ignored request?
Um, yeah, I mean that way we can kind of see like the artists who are actually communicating with us, and then the ones that seem to be kind of not responding to anything.
Okay. It's fine. For artists to see their requests, status editable, they can the status request status can delete their own, edit the request. If they got sockets sent on their way,
if they delete their request, should it be deleted from the whole website, or should they be able to re-enable it for future?
Is that like for the request? You mean the amputee?
For the artist.
Artist.
Oh, for the art. Yeah. They can be able to update it later, to say they're available.
Yes, but if let's say they decide to delete it and then they change their mind, should they have a way back of restoring the request, or should they just create a new one?
No, I mean, I think if they kind of delete and then change their mind, they should have to kind of go through approval again.
Okay.
Okay. Yep.
It's fine. So from artist point of view, they're logged in. They see the request status. They see if socket is sent on their way. They this is yours. They see if request is sent on their way. Notification. Socket on their way, and not that if socket is on their way, but if they are they're to see availability request. That's what artists should see.
Yeah, that's good, I think.
Yeah.
And that's probably should be also emailed as well. That redirects to the link.
Yeah.
Should the availability be like a 1 week thing, like the person who is requesting the gets to choose artist? No, wait, I'm saying this wrong.
Go on.
So should the availability be a 1 week thing, so it cancels off after like 1 week or 2 weeks or something like that?
I think more kind of like maybe like once a month, kind of have them kind of check in and kind of update or kind of change things.
Makes sense.
As an artist, yeah, I was just gonna say, as an artist myself, like weeks tend to kind of blur together, and so I think weekly would be a little too much, and then just kind of forget about it. But I think once a month, kind of, a reminder just to kind of,
Are you still
update the
available?
status. Yeah. And then, have an option where they can be like, well, I won't be available for the next 2 months because I'm working on this project. But then, after this amount of time, I'll be available again.
Okay, that's good. So availability request, artists will see availability request, and they next to that request can choose to decline, approve.
If they don't respond, it will automatically go to not available, right?
Yeah.
After the month, after it expires.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It won't go to unavailable. It will go to ignored. We have three statuses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they see their request status, availability request, and whether they got selected or not. Right? So they got selected. Does that mean by default that prosthetic is on the way? And they should be expecting
I
it?
mean, yeah, it means that there'll be one coming, but not necessarily like right on the way.
Yeah.
Once that they get selected, they'll be talking to, the amputee, and then, um, kind of planning out, the design, and then they'll kind of once the prosthetic company, the prosthesist makes the socket, then they'll get it.
Right. And the sending process itself, you basically just notify the company, forward them the address of the artist, and that's it.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how the company wants to do it, if the company is cool, will kind of do it themselves. Sweet. If not, that's something that we've kind of covered in the past. Is paying for the cost of shipping,
Mm-hmm.
the leg back and forth.
All right. But in any case, it's your own thing, and you don't see it automated.
Yeah.
Okay. So to summarize this again, we request, as a visitor, I can request a prosthetic, and that's it. And this will end up in your dashboard. In your dashboard, you will see all the requests of amputees, and then you can select any request that you want and confirm it. And by doing so, you will be pointed to the artists window, all the approved artists window, and you will select. You won't select anything, but you will send all the approved artists a notification for who is available with one button click. And next, in the same window, next to their names, you'll see that requests were sent, and upon them approving the request, you will see that they are available. And then I guess in the availability window, you always, I guess you'll see all the approved artists anyway, so you'll see their status if they're available or not. Okay. And then when you want to actually okay, so one more question from me. If you have sent a request for the artist that, hey, tell me your availability, and a month goes by, in the meanwhile, what happens with the amputee? Do you notify them only after a month?
For notify them about what?
About the availability statuses, like what they can select from samples.
Yeah, I mean, generally, like I'll send notification, and if they haven't replied back in like a week or two, then the ones who haven't replied back, won't be on the availability.
Okay, so availability is independent from just it's independent from like you would basically, maybe that just means that you do it automatically, like every 2 weeks, let's say, you just send notifications, are you available, are you available, are you available.
Yeah, I mean, I think in terms of having them update just their general availability status, I think having it like do once a month, and then when we actually have someone who has a leg to be done, when we contact them, if they haven't contacted us back in, like 2 weeks, then they won't be on the availability for that amputee.
Okay.
Like if I don't hear back from them, when I ask, who's available,
Right.
I'll give them like a week or two to respond. But then if they don't respond, then they're not on that list for that amputee. But
So you basically plan to send asking for availability status just when you feel like it, but that's independent of how many requests you have, or if you are deciding to approve a request and I guess form a selection screen for available artists. You will do that regardless of it, just whenever you
yeah,
feel like it. Okay. And probably you don't want to send. Do you want to send a request to people who already ignored it?
I mean, I think, if there's a way of seeing if they've kind of ignored the notifications, if they've ignored them 3 times, then they get kind of like, there's a note, or not a note, but just a way of being able to tell, oh, they've kind of been ignoring these 3 times, so I'm
Yeah.
just not going to contact them anymore.
Okay, that's cool. So I'll add one more comment.
But you could be busy like for a year, and then the next year you might be wanting to do it, right?
Yeah, that's why, too, kind of, I thought, just having them, know to check in, having that once a month kind of check in where they can say, oh, this way they can check in and say, oh, for this amount of time, I'm going to be unavailable, so then they won't get sent, the kind of notifications and stuff,
Okay,
for that amount
for
of time,
this amount of time.
where they can, when they check in, they can be like, oh, for 6 months, I'm going to be unavailable. Or the next kind of 2 months, I'll be unavailable, or whatever.
And what would be their status if they choose
It would,
to not decline it, but maybe it's declining, but you can decline with a note by adding a note next to their
yeah, so it's
status?
kind of, yeah, it would be a decline, but we would know that, kind of looking at their artist profile, we'll know that, oh, they're busy, for this amount of time.
Okay. Okay, so let's continue. Amputee sends a request. You ignore what I said. Basically, let's say you send status requests for availability and you already approved a bunch of artists and you have you know who is available, and amputee sends you a request, so you know that you have a socket available, you know that you have artists available, so you then go to your dashboard, click a button to get a link. I guess it's just literally a button to share available artists gallery that you have access to,
Yeah,
and you send them that link
yeah.
so they can choose it. Would you just then communicate via email, or you also want to communicate through website to automate it somehow, or you want to be more
I'm
personal?
probably just through like email,
Okay.
from that point.
Is it a problem if that link leaks and they just share it wherever?
I mean, um, I don't think it would be a problem, um, but it's like, that link wouldn't necessarily be accurate, since it changes from person to person
Yes.
in terms of the available artists.
Okay. So the fact that they can share it with others is fine.
Yeah,
Okay. So, okay, and then that's up to you, so we ignore that. They then say, okay, I like the artist, I choose this guy, and you mark it down. And the next step that you do is, how do you notify the artist? You say, go on.
Yeah, I would just contact them, and say, hey, this amputee chose use the artist. Let me know um, the best way, to have him contact you, because then I would put them in touch together, so then they can kind of personalize the
Okay.
design and art.
Right. So maybe just I guess in the availability request there would be a button to say, okay, I chose you.
Yeah.
And maybe not in the availability part, but in the requests part, where you know the person who requested a prosthetic, and you would click on that person. Next to that person there will be a button, match maybe, and you click that button, the window of available artists appears, you click on the artist that they chose, and that would be it. You then that would be it basically.
Yeah.
That would mean that you send the contacts of uh, the amputee to the artist, and the context of artist to the amputee. So they exchange their context, and well, each gets their appropriate messages, and so on.
Yeah.
And then do you leave that up to them? I don't know, to decide on what they choose, what exact art they want, or that they're like.
Yeah, because they would kind of be personalizing, and kind of doing art
Right.
that kind of represents that person.
To
Yeah, so
match
that would,
make artist with amputee. You were saying, so that would make.
yeah, so then they can get a kind of truly kind of personalized kind of prosthetic that kind of reflects them as a person, and not just a general kind of art.
And at that point, when it's matchmade, what's your role in the process? Do you leave it completely up to them? Like, is the prosthetic? Does the prosthetic get sent when the match is made?
Well, no, I mean the prosthetic would get sent once the company has it ready. So it could be after they start talking, depending on things, it could be a few weeks, or so, or it could be you know
But you
that
would know.
there's a
But you
variable.
Right, but you would know in advance that there is a company that's willing to do something.
Yeah, yeah. So, but in terms of like when sending the leg, it's hard to tell at what point, because that is all dependent on the company.
So maybe
And
there
when
should
they
be
kind of
a
make it.
three-way matchmaking: the amputee, the artist, and the company. So each gets notified that, hey, this person chose this artist and wants your leg, and the company, and the same from different perspectives, basically.
Yeah, I mean that's why like I was just have the company deal with the project, because I know from a lot of these companies, a lot of them are small, like mom and pop things, and so they don't have a big staff, and so for like random people to be contacting them, like an artist to be contacting them or something, um, I think would just get too confusing, and so having you know just a kind of project as the kind of main contact point for kind of dealing with the logistics of kind of when
Well,
it's getting sent, and
yeah,
all
that's
that
good.
stuff is the best.
I mean, they would know that it's legit, because I don't know, you would need some. How are you verified? I don't know how you get verified that that the email sender is legit and so on. I guess you would need to just forward the necessary information that the amputee sent in the request, that they are legit. And
Yeah, I mean, because the company would have seen, the amputee and everything.
yeah.
Because there's no way you can get a socket without being, an amputee and being fit for one.
So, do you agree that this three-way notification is actually a good thing and should be done?
I don't know, because I think like um kind of having the kind of prosthetic companies, kind of I think it would be just kind of too much and too confusing if they're having kind of people outside of the kind of organization of the project contact them and kind of deal with things. And that's why kind of like going through the project and having one kind of, with the companies contacting and dealing with the project itself. Um, and the amputee, I think throwing in an artist, like, there's and the artist like being able to contact the prosthetic company. um I don't see a reason for that.
Okay, so you would contact them manually.
Yeah, I mean, and because I would know, we would know when the amputee got fitted, and for the prosthetic and for the socket, so we would have the amputee as the kind of contact point for that, and then we would just kind of then work, talk to the prosthetic company on terms of where to ship it,
Okay.
to get, or if they needed us to ship it, then, we would, then ship it.
Okay. So the whole flow I'm trying to imagine again. Amputee sends a request. You send them back a list of available artists. They choose the artist. You matchmake. You basically notify that the artist was chosen to the amputee and that the amputee chose you to the artist. And then you contact the company for the prosthetic.
Well, no, like the when the person submits their application to get a prosthetic made, we would be kind of talking to companies, in the area of the amputee or the amputee's company they
Right.
use, to see if they would be willing to donate. But then if they're not willing to donate at that time, then the amputee, we'll try kind of in the future to kind of work with them, but at that kind of moment, they wouldn't um necessarily get approved for a custom prosthetic.
Okay, so when exactly would you
Right, that's
contact the company?
what was that?
When exactly would you contact the company?
I would contact them after the application, from the amputee.
Regardless of any available artists.
Yeah, I mean, because that's, we need to, before the artists come into play, we need to make sure that there's a prosthetic company willing to do this.
Okay, makes sense.
I made a whiteboard with a flow. Maybe you can look at it.
Please share.
In the link is in the channel.
Okay.
General. I don't know if that's the flow of it. Oh, they won't click the button to send the mail. That would be the admin.
Yes. So is this from the point of view of dashboard? Sorry, admin. Admin clicks the button. Okay. amputee get personal list of available artists. Yes, the rest is done by email, phone, not through website. Yeah.
Yeah, because they would submit a request, but it's they might not hear anything instantly, because we would be kind of talking, to local kind of companies to see if anyone would be willing to donate time, but once they get approved, then they'll be able to look at a list of artists, that are available.
Also, every month part, it's just up to the admin to notify them. It can happen at any time. It's not automated, so it's manual. So also doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, I figured for the artists, for the every month, like that, every month kind of being automated, but then it being up to the admin when
Oh,
we have a request that's available.
okay. That is fine. So in this flow, at the very start, you get a request, you contact the company, and simultaneously you wait for the company, you wait for the I guess you see the availability statuses right away if you didn't request it. If you did request it a while ago, and okay,
Yeah,
so
I mean, like
go on.
the amputee would send their request, but then they wouldn't automatically get approved. Like, so they wouldn't see, just because they submit a request doesn't mean that they'll see a list of artists or anything. They would have to be kind of approved, and chosen first.
Oh yeah.
And part of the approval process is talking to prosthetic companies, and everything like that. Um, and two, like, we kind of want to make sure that I don't want to say deserving, but make sure that the person getting the leg isn't, someone who could afford to have like a custom leg made, and just kind of isn't doing it, but want to make sure it's someone who kind of, where this is something that wouldn't be an option, so we're giving them the option, because they couldn't afford it. If that makes any sense.
So yeah, so basically the flow between amputee request and sending the list, in between you would just be contacting them and talking with them, and only when you are ready and know that there is a leg available and artists available, you would only then send them the list, given that the two things are available, both the artists and the leg.
Yes.
And then you would wait for the artist to talk with amputee, and you would give them the contacts of company, or
Like the
don't.
Yeah, it would be the kind of company I would give, like the kind of address and stuff for the amputee. So instead of giving the artist the company's kind of information.
Okay, so basically you delegate stuff now. You act as a matchmaker for company, artist, and amputee, and everything is then delegated. Basically, you help amputee find what they want, the company and the artist.
Yeah.
Okay.
And oftentimes, like the company, will already be kind of dealing with the amputee.
So maybe with the would it make sense that with the list of artists, sorry, uh, so when you send them a list of artists, they select the artist, then you matchmake them. So matchmaking is missing in this part, Max.
Yeah, I think so.
Matchmaking of artist and amputee. And when you
But
matchmake them,
that's
the,
all done personal, right? It's not done through the
Yeah,
website.
yeah, that's all done kind of personal.
but you will so you will look for it manually, you will talk with them manually, but when you did matchmake, I don't see much point. Why would you contact them both separately if you can just click one button and send contacts for the both of them? Or would you like to just invite them both in the same meeting where you act as a mediator?
Yeah, kind of both in the same meeting, because I don't want it, um, to be like so, um,
Okay.
you know, yeah, I don't want it to be like the artist feels that they're just randomly, kind of, even though they knew that, there was a leg available. I don't want them just to randomly be contacted by, the amputee.
Right. So
This way, I can kind of, through the company, kind of, put them in touch with each other through the project.
and how would you contact them? Like, would you write to two emails to each other, to each of them?
Yeah, um, send an email to, or depending on the artist, a phone call or text, and just be like, hey, um, you were chosen by the amputee. They really like your work. Um, I'm gonna put you in touch with the amputee so you guys can kind of
Right.
talk together and brainstorm ideas.
I guess this part, like the sending thing itself, since you need to write two emails, you might as well just click one button and send two emails to each. It would still basically mean the same thing as doing it manually, just be faster. You,
Okay.
like that would be the matchmaking, but just the act of confirming the match, and
Yeah.
that would also just mark the artist. So if the artist is selected, how soon are you going to let them know that they are selected?
Pretty much, right when they've been, right after I've heard back from, the amputee when they've chosen the artist, then I'll kind of go ahead and contact the artist.
Okay, so it does make sense to just click that button, which will notify both sides without letting the other side know probably anything about each other. More like, obviously amputee knows whom they chose, but
Yeah.
the artist, you just tell them you were chosen. Here's the meeting. The guy liked your artwork
Or
the most, and
yeah, or being able to kind of let the artist see the um, application info, from the request or the request info.
that's
So then they can kind of get a bit more information about, the person they're working with.
right. So you click a button, send application to the artist, send the meeting invitation to the amputee, and you yourself a reminder to yourself that the meeting will happen at the given time that you set. Would you, I don't know, would you set the time, or would you ask them to tell them the time that they want?
Yeah, figure out what time works best for them.
Okay. And that would be reflected in the dashboard that the artist can see the status that they were chosen.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me quickly write.
And then when through the automated process, when kind of go through and do all this stuff, will there be a spot where I can add kind of like a note, just so it's a little more kind of personal? Where I can kind of
Yeah, sure.
send them
Yeah.
more personal message to them
It
too.
might be
Okay, cool.
like an automated email, but you can edit it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like a template
Perfect.
with a spot to
Yeah.
custom text. Yeah, fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of more old school, and so automation to me kind of sounds like, oh, there's no kind of personalization to it. It's just kind of, automatic. I want to make
Yeah,
sure that I can still kind
I
of keep it
understand.
kind of personal, put a personal touch.
Okay, boom. I'll just add this to the pull request. So again, need, oh crap, button, that's fine. Now let me again try to summarize the flow for the 5th time.
Yes.
Amputee makes a request. You see the request, you contact the company that, hey, there's this guy wanting, and you also at the same time look at the list of available artists and send that list. So you first wait for company response, and when you know, okay, company is willing to help, so now I can look at the available artists. So you look at the available artists at the time, and you send that list to the requester.
Yeah.
They select it, you get response, and then you click the button to matchmake artist and amputee. And at that point, basically it's up to amputee and artist to come with you at the time that you want, or to just let them say the time that they are available at to meet together, and basically you three then communicate together for picking the time you want. You come, join, talk, happy, both sides work. Then you let the company know that it happened, that the artist is available, the person is available and is ready, and you basically tell them, well, ask the person where they want to send the the prosthetics to, what address, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is done. And from your point of view, from artist's point of view, they'll just have one email extra, the notification, and they will also have in their page that their status is as selected.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think this part, gallery part, and this part, and obviously just getting info of companies that are willing to contact you, or people who are willing to
and like
donate. Yep.
Yeah, like the third under the make a donation, like the third, where talked about like for company to sponsor, that could be where prosthetic companies say, hey, we would be willing to kind of do this, and then that way we can have a list of prosthetic companies too that are that we know would be available to donate a socket.
So you would basically want to view this and this.
Yeah, so like the third down the donate ad, instead of it going to donate using the menu, I would then it would just be a list of prosthetic companies, that are willing to kind of donate the cost of a socket. If that makes sense.
So you as an admin, you mean you go to the donations window and you see companies that are willing to donate you?
Yeah.
A socket. Yes. Okay, good. And what about all prosthetic donations? I imagine donate, because nobody would want to donate a good one.
Yeah, the old prosthetics we can use as the fundraiser, where we have artists paint and then auction them off, as pieces of art.
But you also want this to be viewed separately, like for companies that are available and for prosthetics that are available.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where, the requested prosthetic, could be a company nominating one of their clients. So it doesn't necessarily, the requested prosthetic doesn't necessarily have to be the amputee requesting. It could be the company.
That would basically mean they fill a form for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I'll add this as well. Okay, I think we are good. It was productive.
Yeah,
we
definitely
understood what we want. Both you and us have a better understanding.
Yeah.
Okay. So one last thing that I wanted to show is in the issues we have a thing called Milestones, and it's kind of BS right now because it's definitely not going to be accurate, but I just put what I thought would be doable in 2-week sprints, intervals.
Okay.
And every 2 weeks it's a sprint. So sprint 0 is the current sprint. So next week we are planning to start wrap up with requirements gathering and start doing some code. Nothing working yet, just a skeleton per se. And in second sprint, we're planning to have basically some hard-coded data. So this is actually sprint 2. To actual. And next sprint will basically wrap up all the requirements, have some skeleton, and maybe also a skeleton website, hopefully, eventually.
Okay.
Basically just hello world kind of thing, empty, just runnable, maybe with some crappy looking buttons, that's all. And simultaneously, I'm not sure if gallery app, how do we manage working on which, when? We'll see. I didn't think about that yet.
Okay.
But yeah, those are the plans, and gradually we'll move on to stuff. And in Agile way, we basically look at how much work we did this sprint, and that is, we look at the tasks done. So how many points we completed? We completed 6 points basically, kind of. I would say this is also completed. Max, could you let me know how much time did you take making this?
Like an hour and a half, I think, together with learning how to use the website and stuff and looking what programs to use.
For Wireframe?
Yeah, for the wireframe, yeah.
An hour and a half.
Yeah, I think, yeah, maybe 2.
Wow, I thought way more.
It was a really easy website to use, so as soon as I got the hang of it, it went pretty fast. And that's without the one time where I had to start all over again.
But I mean, with discussions included, with the reviews and remarks and changes, everything included.
Yeah, maybe a little bit more then.
Okay, I'll add 3 points to it. I think 2 is too much. 3 is okay.
Yeah.
Definitely not more than a day. So
No.
roughly a few hours to 8 hours max. Okay. Okay, so basically we completed 9 points this week. And I think Jess also did a pipeline of some sort. It's not completed yet, so I would say we completed roughly 10 points. So what this means basically that we also plan to have that many points for the next sprint. Not more than that many points. And if we manage to deliver more points, then we will try to deliver more next sprint. But this basically helps us to plan what we can do, how much we can do in a sprint, what is our basically power.
Cool.
So those will definitely be done, and we'll take, well, it seems that we won't do any programming, barely any, just wrap up with all the specification. 100%. Okay. That's it for this time. Thank you for your time, for talking with us.
Oh, anytime. Yeah, thank you for everything you're doing.
No problem.